Yellowjackets far exceeds everyone's expectations. Even those of the creators Yellowjackets has quickly become a fan favorite for people all over the world, and we can't wait for season 2. What do we know about it so far? Well, before we get there, Jackie's death is even darker than you realize. More on that later in the video. But first, Showtime has launched its biggest Pride campaign yet, queer to say. Showtime, the network that has so generously given us the survival horror drama Yellowjackets, is all in for this year's Pride Month. The channel has launched its biggest campaign to date with Queer to Stay. In partnership with the Human Rights Campaign, Showtime is expanding the QTS Small Business Preservation Initiative with $250,000 in grants. The QTS Small Business Preservation Initiative was launched back in 2020, when the pandemic first hit and business started to get impacted. The initiative supported and preserved 10 LGBTQ+ businesses, with a special focus on those owned and run by women, people of color, and the transgender community. And this year, the initiative is expanding so they can support at least 25 businesses, targeting business from geographical diverse members of the LGBTQ+ community. Queer to Stay is also launching its first grassroots outreach campaign this year, which kicks off during Pride Month as well. With a presence in over 155 National Pride Festival events spanning coast to coast, there's no doubt that they'll grow the awareness they're aiming for, and then some. The cherry on top of it all is in fact that Showtime is releasing over 50 hours of iconic LGBTQ+ content for free sampling throughout June. Next up is Yellowjackets cast growing in Season 2. Yellowjackets did much better than creators Ashley Lyle and Bart Nicholson could have hoped for, and got renewed for a Season 2 even before its first season had fully been aired, with 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. There was no way it wasn't gonna happen, but still, it was a relief to pretty much anyone who set eyes on the show, and has been obsessed with it ever since. The show managed to build a solid fan base because of its two distinct timelines and dual cast, some of which playing the same characters but 25 years apart, kind of like Mandy Moore did in This Is Us. Moreover, not every teenage character that appears in the 1990s side of the storyline has an adult counterpart, which begs the question about their actual survival of the ordeal. But according to Melanie Lynskey, who plays the older Shauna, castings were held for more of the survivors, and the one she could say for sure would be cast as an older Van, who's currently only portrayed as a teenager by the talented Liv Hewson. Lynskey knew who she would like to see pick up the role of adult Van, and told E.T., "I would like her to be played by Natasha Lyonne. She's a friend of mine and I'm obsessed with her." Natasha Lyonne is probably best known for her leading role in Russian Doll, but word is that this brilliant actress is a little bit too busy to join Yellowjackets at the moment. Bummer, because Lyonne would actually have been perfect for the role. On to what we're hoping to see in Season 2 of Yellowjackets. Even if you know what you're in for when you start watching Yellowjackets, nothing can really prepare you for the visceral effect this show will have on you. Because even though they say it's a survival drama with 90s teenagers, what the heck actually happened out there in the wilderness, the mystery surrounding their time being completely cut off from human civilization, has yet to be explained by the time you reach the end of Season 1. Not to mention all the other questions that can't help but pop up, of storylines left unfinished for the time being. But don't you worry, you're not the only one who needs certain subjects to be addressed in the second season of Yellowjackets. One thing that they better explain is what happened to Shauna and Jeff's baby, given that they were lost to the wilderness for 19 months. And Shauna has gotten pregnant before the crash. She must have had the baby out there. What happened? Who built that creepy cabin, literally in the middle of nowhere, and why? What is happening with Ty? And lest anyone dares forget, who was the girl the rest of the soccer team ate in the first episode? We can only hope that Season 2 will answer at least some of these questions, but the wilderness is unpredictable. Anything could happen. Oh man, we can't wait for this next season. What are some crazy fan theories about Yellowjackets Season 2? How many seasons will Yellowjackets have? And what makes Jackie's death even darker than we first realized? Stay tuned if you want to find out. Let's start with the craziest fan theories about Yellowjackets Season 2. With a mystery horror like Yellowjackets, the fan base lives and breathes fan theories, and there has been an abundance of fan theories never ending since the show came to its first seasonal end. According to creator Bart Nicholson, the writers never expected the fans to become this invested in trying to piece together where the story is headed. He clearly doesn't have a clue about how deep the dedication of a devoted fan base goes, but he's learning now. Confronted with the elaborate, delicate, and well-researched fan theories that have spawned about Yellowjackets, like how the hallucinations may not be because of the supernatural aspect of the woods after all, but an infection triggered by the eating of human flesh. It's also been said that Adam was actually an adult Javi, who's played by Luciana Leroux, trying to reconnect. You can only be sure a character is dead when you've seen the body, and Javi's body hasn't been found since he went missing in the flashbacks. The saddest one is about Shauna and Jeff's baby, as they only have one child in the future timeline, Callie, who couldn't have been born during the past timeline because it doesn't add up. Fans are scared for the baby's fate, whether Shauna loses the baby or they somehow get convinced that the baby needs to be sacrificed for their survival. Doesn't matter. The baby's future isn't looking all too bright. Following, how many seasons will there be of Yellowjackets? And when will Yellowjackets be back for Season 2? Though Ashley Lyle and Bart Nicholson didn't even dare dream that Yellowjackets would end up doing so well, they did have an idea of where they would like the show to go from the very beginning. To some degree, it's just what you do when you're pitching a show to a network. As with any other product, a buyer wants to know what they're getting for their money, and particularly at a network like Showtime, they want to know that you know where you're going, and that there's more than one season's worth of your story. This is why Yellowjackets was originally pitched at get 5 seasons, and they even said in interviews that the show would be 5 seasons, but Lyle says she regretted it ever since, because people really attach themselves to that in no time, as if it's written in stone. Lyle believes that the show, the story, and the characters themselves will tell when they've reached their natural conclusions. For now, everyone is feeling very good about the potential for the story moving forward, but no one is interested in beating a dead horse or dragging things out longer than the story dictates, which no one wants, honestly. Nothing worse than watching your favorite show die a slow and painful death. Gary Levine, Showtime's president of entertainment, told Vulture that Yellowjackets is aiming for an annual cycle, which means season 2 can be expected around the same time as last year, sometime in November or December of 2022. And then now, Yellowjackets, Jackie's death is even darker than you realize. We're afraid to say that it seriously looks like Yellowjackets is one of those shows that start out really bad for its characters and just gets worse every season. Jackie's death, even though it had been foreshadowed, shocked fans and clearly signaled an intent to depart from audience expectations. It warns us that no one in Yellowjackets is safe, and no, there's no way Jackie is going to come back in any way. That has already been confirmed. She's dead and she's going to stay dead. But being dead, she will now loom very large over the rest of the women, and Shauna in particular. It's a tipping point for Shauna, who's haunted by Jackie's death in the future, blaming herself for the tragedy, despite the tension between her and Jackie. They genuinely loved each other, and their bond grounded Shauna as the rest of the world kept spiraling out of control. Without Jackie, Shauna is broken, and it's very likely that this is what sends her on the path that leads her to the cannibalism in the past timeline and the murder she committed in the future. Shauna was the last person with the ability to steer the others away from violence. An increasingly overwhelming level of brutality will be permitted, and the season to come will be much worse than we've seen so far. Are you ready? That's it. What do you think will happen in season 2 of Yellowjackets? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.